Joseph, getting back to the St. Pete race real quick, tires this year. I want to get deep into the details. Tires, obviously, if people were aware, were designed for the heavier car, right? Designed for the hybrid unit, designed for essentially a car that is, not as light as we ran it at St. Pete. Did that adjust the strategy a ton? Was there, tire, because for me as a spectator, right, I'm not really seeing a ton of tire wear, honestly. I saw a lot of fuel saving, but not a ton of people really, struggling, it seemed, with tires. Did that not play in as much as a normal IndyCar street race, you'd say?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think there was some wear, some degradation, but it was not near what it's been. Certainly not where it was at the level last year. I think Firestone has trended softer with their compounds the previous couple years, and now they've gone back the other way. And you just pointed out the reason they did that. These tires were built in preparation for the hybrid units and the increased weight of the car. And I think when that comes online, middle of the year, you're going to understand why they went that direction with the tire. And I think naturally this suited some cars more than others. You see this when there's a difference in tire compounds and construction, that some teams have a natural setup that fits it and some others don't. I think that shook up the field a bit. And then on the strategy side, for sure, I think the yellow hurt things a lot on lap 26. I think if anyone was going to try something, that just put everybody on the same program. And here's one thing I would say too, when it comes to, tires and durability and just, race strategy, we can't have, the greatest race every single time out. And there's circumstances that build into that. I think the caution really hurt that on our race on lap 26. And sometimes you get that. It's the exact same thing in NASCAR or Formula One or sports car racing. Sometimes things factor in where you don't have the most amazing race. And certainly it wasn't the most entertaining from an action standpoint, but there were still people doing some great things across the field. And there was still action to look for if you're a motorsport fan that, kept you entertained. It was just maybe not the traditional action-packed product that, some people will now expect.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We're greedy as a fan base, right? Like, we want to see the greatest racing ever. But for me, I honestly was entertained. Like, and I'm someone who lives and breathes this sport, and I could see the strategy playing out. Obviously, you were very dominant, but there was a lot of racing going on behind you as well. That was quite good, and you even had to fight for it. Obviously, after coming out of the pits, not in the lead, right? You had to fight for it. You had to get back to the front, and I think that was great. Were you a little surprised with how Ganassi struggled a little bit? I was a little bit surprised as to kind of them in general. They seemed to really struggle. Like, the turn 10 break zone looked like the worst situation ever for a Ganassi car. Like, you had Marcus Armstrong crashing there. You had a couple different shots during the race of Dixon locking up the rears into the turn 10 break zone. Like, there was a lot that they seemed like they struggled. Was that a bit of a surprise for you guys?
It was very surprising. I don't know what they had going on, but yeah, watching the race back and the issues that they seem to have in, commonality in turn 10 specifically was interesting. I don't know their program and I don't know how they were affected, but I thought they looked quite strong in testing. So there was really nothing that pointed to them, coming to St. Pete and expecting them to struggle. So, IndyCar is so unpredictable. This could be a small indication of them throughout the year, or it could be a blip. I mean, it could just be a St. Pete specific thing too. It's really hard to say until you get more, data points to kind of string together. But yeah, for me, it was very surprising.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get one more in about the race, then I'll let Chase jump in. But who do you think was a surprise for you this weekend? Was there any surprises you think that like either in qualifying or the race that kind of stuck out to you? I thought there were not a ton of surprises overall. I thought, okay, you expect to see a lot of these guys up front. I expected to see, at least several different cars in the Fast Six, several different teams, which there was. I think for the rumors that I heard, a lot of people were saying that McLaren was going like, oh, we think the McLaren guys are going to be winning St. Pete. Now, again, they were good, but not really on the Penske stratosphere. Who do you think was there? Was there any surprises that we can kind of maybe look for as the season goes on?
I was surprised by Ganassi again. I was surprised by Rahal, in particular Lundgaard.
Agreed, yeah.
I really thought, yeah, they didn't have a stellar weekend. I thought they would probably come out a little bit stronger. I was surprised by Felix. I wasn't. I sort of expected Felix to, find his footing pretty well at this new group, and I think they have a good car underneath them. But I thought Felix did a really good job on the weekend. Like, he was super
Very good,
impressive. I mean, he probably, he was just a whisker away from getting the pole, and very much could have been the pole winner. So I thought he did a good job, and not that was a surprise, but it was maybe nice to just see it for him.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Chase. Jump in.
Yeah, no, you're kind of playing back into that too. Like at the race in general, I saw at the end. I know that you and Scotty Mack obviously got to have a good dynamic, being teammates, being up in the paddock together. There was a photo that I saw of you. You were kind of up, and you had like this stank face like at him, and he's just tearing a bottle up, like walking by. Like, what was that about? What was that?
I think
it's a
that
great
guy's
photograph.
Thirsty. I did see this photo, actually.
It's a great photograph.
He looked thirsty. He's on the thirsty threes, and those guys stay thirsty. All right. I think that's kind of their thing, though. Like, but I don't. Do they want to be thirsty? Or do they want to be quenched? I just don't understand.
Wow.
Like we got to get these thirsty threes, sorted out with their liquid.
Yeah.
But
is there a water shortage at Team Penske? Like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Do we need to refill those giant
We're gonna call you
2-gallon jugs? Yeah,
that'll be an alternate.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, though. Sometimes you just got to stay thirsty. I get that. It's not a big deal. That's good. That's my hashtag. Stay thirsty.
Stay thirsty.
No, I thought the photo was funny because it looks like, I'm like, what is this guy doing? But I was trying to get Scott to come up onto the podium for a photo. And that's what you captured. But he was just chugging that thing, like living life, as you could see.
He was laser focused. And
he should. He had a great day, so he should be living it up.
Absolutely.
I love it. Hey, real quick, as I respect your time, you got a lot going on today. And I'm honestly pumped that I honestly think that we're probably going to at least interview another 5 or 6 times this year. So get used to it. We're going to be ready for it. Give us kind of a preview of the thermal weekend. Obviously, non-points race. That's next up on the calendar for us. I'm going to be out there, so I'm going to be interacting and checking it out. What can fans expect? Do you think? I mean, I don't personally know how well this track is going to race. Like, having tested there, I'm not entirely sure, but we have to be excited about it. There's a lot of money on the line. Everyone wants money. That seems to be a fun thing to have. Can you let the fans know a little bit what to kind of look for and what might excite some onlookers?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm sort of in the same boat as you. Like, I don't know exactly how this is going to go down, but I'm really excited for it. I mean, first off, there is a ton of money on the line, which is always interesting to play for. Thermal actually was really enjoyable to drive. I loved being there last year for the preseason test.
Wonderful place. Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't know how it'll race, and that's not good or bad. I don't know. It's going to be super interesting to see, how we take to it in that condition. This event is very much exhibition style. It's made for TV. I think that's cool. I love that stuff. I mean, I'm glad that we're adding in this type of layer, but I'm like a lot of fans and onlookers. I don't know how it's going to go, and I'm really interested to see how different teams approach it, because in a lot of ways, it's also a big test. It runs into this exhibition at the end of the weekend, but before that, you have a ton of testing time. So I don't know how people are going to utilize that and how they're going to run that into their program. In a lot of ways, it's a very significant weekend because any time that you have at the track is important. And I think people are going to try and utilize that to make their race season cars better. So, I don't have a great answer for you. I think that's the reason to tune in as well, is because we just don't know how it's going to go.